And I wanted to say something for my people who have like goals that involve substance abuse, or let's say alcoholism or smoking or popping pills or whatever like that. That's a major one. First of all, because specifically in America, and maybe other countries too, but I know in America, substance abuse is so championed and it's so like such a social thing, such a fun thing, that we make it like a fun thing that people do get to points in their life where they kind of do feel bad about indulging in certain substances, but then they'll set a goal and say, all right, I want to stop. But then as soon as they pick it back up, they just act like it was never a goal and just go forward. But that's something that you can stop anytime you want, as many times as you want. Not to say anytime, but you can stop and start as many times as you want. Like it's not a knock on your character if you say, okay, I fell off that wagon and I'll have to pick this back up later. You can pick it back up later. Like it's fine. You know, if you say I don't want to drink anymore, okay. And then in 2 months you pick up a drink again. 2 months after that, you could say, all right, I'm gonna stop. Right. And I wanted to talk specifically about substance abuse because I dealt with that myself. Right. So specifically with alcoholism and saying like, you know what I'm saying, I'm never drinking again or whatever the situation is. Anytime I said I was going to stop drinking, I never said for a specific amount of time. I was pretty much like, I'm just done, period. Right. And being in that world and dealing with like classes and courses and stuff in the past when I was a little bit younger, a lot of people go through the same thing. They say the same stuff like, I'm never drinking again. I'm never smoking again. I'm never popping the pills again. I'm never shooting up again. A lot of people do that. And then they end up getting back on it. And I just wanted to say like the main thing that makes it a hard thing to do is us telling, we like to announce like, hey, everybody around me, everybody in my area, I'm not drinking no more. Right. We feel like we got to announce this to people. So then when we do start drinking again, we get kind of embarrassed. But really the problem is we are trying to convince ourselves that we don't want to drink anymore. But in reality, we don't really have a problem with what we're doing. We don't really want to stop. We're only saying, hey, I'm about to stop drinking because we think the people around us that have noticed patterns that are negative patterns for our life, we know that they'll think it's a good thing for us to stop. So we want to tell them, hey, I'm not drinking no more. And we think that's going to get us the praise that we're looking for. So that's why a lot of times the people who end up starting to drink again or starting to smoke again or whatever, they don't end up going back and reporting to the people that they told they were going to stop. They don't go back and tell them, hey, I started up again, man, I messed up or whatever the situation. They try to hide it. It's because you really never wanted to stop. You were just trying to impress them. But you really got to get to the point where you stop when you feel like you want to stop. That's the only time you're going to stop anyway. If you're trying to stop to impress other people, if you're trying to stop to get support and praise from other people, it's never going to work like that because you don't even see a problem with it. So in your head, you're always going to be thinking like, man, it wasn't even that big of a deal. That's how you're going to be thinking about it in your head. It wasn't even that big of a deal. Like one little drink is not going to hurt me or one beer is not going to hurt me or one bottle, that's not going to hurt me. Like as long as I don't do nothing stupid when I drink, I'm cool. And that's what's always going to be on your mind because you never really wanted to stop anyway. You see what I'm saying? So I just want my substance abuse people to know that all of it is okay, but you got to do it when you are actually ready to do it. And I know some people just like tell you, no, just stop. Like it's just not that easy. So as a person that been in them shoes and in them shoes, I'm saying that no, don't fake yourself out and don't play with yourself because that's going to make you feel even worse. And it's all a personal journey. It's going to make you feel even worse to keep on feeling like you failed at stopping to do something that's considered harmful for you. So don't even play with yourself like that. Like you stop when you are ready to stop. You feel what I'm saying? So I know they always say, you know, the first step is to what do they say? Like pretty much the first step is acceptance. Like accept that you have a problem. People say that, but it's not. How often has that worked to get people to actually stop doing a substance? I mean, it's not that successful. So really the first step is to have genuine desire to stop. That should be the first step. Genuine desire to stop. I want it because I've been like I said, I've been into this stuff for a long time. I've been studying. I bought this book 10 years ago now, right? This book 10 years ago, and this is actually from the MIT Press. This is like a college textbook, right? And it's called The Fundamentals of Neural Network Modeling. So I bought this book back in 2014. I really just studied it. And when I bought it, I honestly didn't know what I was about to pick up and learn in it. I just seen it was like, it's an old, very old textbook, but the information is still good. It's written by neurologists at the college level. And I really just wanted to learn anything about the brain at that time. And it was only like $3.99 at that time. If you see any book I have and the word Ohio was on it, and you know me and you know what's going on, you know what period in my life that I got this, right? So when I've seen the book, it was only like $3.99. I got it. And a lot of the stuff in it was, I won't say it was over my head, but a lot of the stuff in it I had never heard of before because I never studied neurology. So, and they are not talking for consumers in this book. They're talking for people who are in the field of neurology. And also, this is a modeling book. So they're talking about people who merge neurology and tech. So this is like even more advanced than just basic neurology. This is people who are trying to recreate what's going on in the brain in models, right? Anyway, so I'm reading this book, and like I said, I'm coming into it with an open mind. And I get to a chapter called, this chapter is called A Computational Model of Alcohol Dependence, Simulation of Genetic Differences in Alcohol Preference and of Therapeutic Strategies. And I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm gonna read this excerpt because I think it's important what I'm about to say and how it relates to substance abuse and alcoholism specifically, right? So what does this say here? Okay. Modell, Mounts, Beresford, these are scientists, have also reviewed the circuitry. They emphasize, however, the similarity of obsessive thoughts about drinking and obsessive compulsive disorder. What is that saying? These people were reviewing circuitry, so they were looking at the brain, and they have the networks and circuits in the mind in here, in the brain in here, mind and brain, two different things. Anyway, they were looking at, and they found similarities in how the brain works around alcoholism and how the brain works around OCD. They're very similar. It's like close to the same thing, right? Modell and his colleagues argued that the same frontal cortex dorsal medial thalamic circuit implicated in OCD symptoms may also mediate obsessive thoughts about alcohol in alcohol dependent persons. Right? Let me read that again. It's a little bit sciencey. Modell and his colleagues argued that the same frontal cortex dorsal medial thalamic circuit implicated in OCD symptoms may also mediate obsessive thoughts about alcohol in alcohol dependent persons. They suggest that activity in the cortical thalamic loop is regulated by an inhibitory circuit that includes it says NACC, but that's nucleus accumbens, and ventral pallidum. Inhibitory serotonergic, excuse me, it's a crazy word. Inputs from the dorsal raphe nuclei also modulate activity in these loops via input from the nucleus accumbens. Okay, so, pretty much what it's saying is, what it's pretty much saying is, and in so many scientific words and terms, is that we're looking at how electrical signals move through the brain with people that have OCD. We're also looking at how electrical signals move through the brain in people who are alcohol dependent. The electrical signals move the same way through both of these type of people. It looks similar. So if I didn't know you and I couldn't speak to you to ask you about your alcohol dependence, and I didn't know you and I couldn't speak to you about your OCD, if I looked at the brain, I couldn't tell the difference between y'all two. I would think it was the same thing. That's what they're saying here. And the reason I thought that was important, and the reason I think it's important in this conversation, is because too many times people look at alcoholism and substance abuse as a whole as a psychological thing and not a neurological thing, right? And so when they treat it as a psychological thing, it's really in the mind, and they're telling you all you have to do is just will yourself to stop, right? All you have to do is think that you want to be done, and you'll be done. Because so many people say, hey, I just quit cold turkey. I just told myself that I was done, and then I was done. But most of those people end up going back because they didn't know why they were stopping in the first place, most of the time. And that's not to knock them. That's to say they have the same problem that everybody else has, because it's a brain thing. It's not a mind thing. Psychology is mind. Neurology is brain. Brain is a physical structure with electrical signals and everything like that. And it's not subjective. There's really pulses running through your brain and doing different things. We can watch them, we can see them, and we can look at a person and see what behavior is associated with what electrical signals and how they move. Okay. So when you understand addiction and when you understand alcohol dependence through the lens of neurology, it changes everything. And it lets you know that, okay, I don't have as much control over it as I thought I had, but I can better prepare myself when it's time for me to stop. I know more of what I can and what I should do to try to, I know what I can and what I should do to try to help myself stop. I think I just had a power surge or something. Something just happened. So that right there, I think is very important. I want people to understand it. Even if you felt like, okay, that's a little bit too heavy, too sciencey, it went a little bit over the head. Okay, cool. But this is something, like I said, that I've been studying and reading up on for a decade now. You see what I'm saying? This is not just something I just made up. It's not just one of my theories. This is the theory of neurologists. I'm just reading it. And it's not just one. This is a big group of people. And the people who they were referencing in that book are not the people who wrote the book. So the authors of this book are referencing other people, and they all come to this agreement together that, you know, it's actually circuits in the brain that are behind what we call as alcoholism. Okay. So as I was saying, if it's your New Year's resolution, don't give up on it. And even if you're not successful, you know, within a few weeks of the first of the year, you can come back to it. You can come back to it. All my substance abuse people, you know what I'm saying? Hold your head up. I'm with you. I've been there, done that, doing that, all of that. You understand? I just bought me a bottle yesterday to get right with. You see what I'm saying? Some good, you know? So it's not anything I feel is nothing to be ashamed of, because this is a genetic predisposition. Or maybe you had a brain injury or something like that changed your mind, because, you know, head injuries cause all different types of things to go on in people and cause us to exhibit all different types of behavior. So anyway,